Hello, I'm here to talk to you about some restorative yoga poses to increase flexibility in the hips and the legs for dancers. These are restorative, so they're meant to be held for a while, ideally 3 to 5 minutes, and they're meant to be supported with some different props. The ones that are very common are bolsters and blocks in yoga, but you can also use some substitutes. Here are my blocks, pretty standard blocks. You could also use books, particularly if they're paperbacks, so they're not quite so hard. I also have a round yoga bolster that I love. You could use couch cushions, you could use pillows, you could roll up a blanket or two or a comforter. It's just something that will provide you support and is soft, or not entirely soft when it comes to the blocks. The first pose that I want to go through is a good stretch for the hip flexors in the fronts of the legs. I got this one from Jason Crandall, who has a lot of really great yoga poses. So to get set up into this one, we're going to set up for bridge, hands and feet firmly into the floor, press up and lift the block and place it underneath your sacrum. Now find the right position for you that you can balance on it. You don't want to feel like you have to use your muscles to hold yourself on the block. Again, this is supposed to be restorative. You're supposed to be resting in these poses. So you're going to just bend one knee into the chest and extend the other long, and you should feel this in the front of the extended leg, right through that hip flexor and up into the abdomen. Hold this for a while, longer than I am, and then switch to the other side. If the lift level is not right for you, you can make it less. You can also make it more, but it can get pretty unwieldy balancing here on the short edge of a yoga block, and it might be a little too difficult to really rest here. I'm not sure it's worth it to come up to the really top height here. Next is a pose that stretches the front of the leg, perhaps partially the hip flexor a little bit, but I feel it mostly in my quads. I'm going to set up with a bolster behind me, something to prop up my head, or depending upon your flexibility, perhaps your back and your head. I'm setting up my legs just like this, bending both knees. One leg comes to the side, the other comes across the front. I'm setting up a little bit in front of my bolster here, and slowly lowering back down onto my forearms, and then going as far as I can go comfortably. So you might want to prop up a little more. If you're really flexible, you might just go straight back to the floor. So just hold this and breathe. Feel the stretch through the quad, and again, it's going to come up into the abdominal area. Hold that for a while, 3 to 5 minutes. At least getting through a commercial break would be a good example if you watch the commercials as opposed to flipping through them. And then switch to the other side. Same thing. Breathe, keep breathing and holding. Gentle stretch. We're going for a gentle stretch, not overdoing it. So those are my two favorites for the fronts of the legs. For the backs of the legs, the hamstrings, the first one that I like is Paschimottanasana. When we do this in a vinyasa yoga class, we're really, really reaching, and we're really trying to increase the flexibility and stretch the entire back body. Here, what we want to do instead is focus on the hamstrings primarily. So we just have the legs extended. We don't have to keep quite as strong a flex, but we do want to stay in front of the sit bones. Again, we don't want to round the low back. We want to stay in front. If you're really working on your flexibility here, this might be enough to feel a stretch. You can also lean a little bit forward or have it here. You know, whatever is the right level for you to feel a gentle stretch and hold it for a few minutes. The next one that I like is also a forward fold, but this one is a wide-legged forward fold, so you're just going to bring your legs out to the side, not going as far as you can. You don't need a really strong flex, just a gentle one. And again, be in front of your sit bones. So we don't want to round the low back. We want to be in front of the sit bones. And then just fold forward to the right place for you to find some ease and just rest. You should feel this one not only in the hamstrings, but also in the inner thighs. Just depends upon your own body and your own flexibility where exactly you feel it, but hold this one. The next one that I like for the inner thighs, the adductors, and also the groin is Supta Baddha Konasana, or supported bound angle, reclining bound angle. So we are going to set up with a cushion, pillows, a bolster right behind the sacrum. And then we're bringing the soles of the feet together and letting the knees hang out to the side. If you're really flexible, like I am not, you might not need to prop up your knees, but I do. So I like to use blocks here, just under my knees, and then recline back. If you want to be up a little further, you can also put another pillow under your head. So you might notice that this is also a nice restorative back bend as well, that you're feeling a nice chest opening and a gentle back bend. So as long as you hold this, you might find, as I often do, that you're getting some increased flexibility, so you can take the blocks under your knees and move them out a little bit to accommodate increased flexibility there. As a side note to the women, this is a great pose for easing menstrual cramps, because it helps to really stretch that area of the body in a supportive way. This and legs up the wall you might also enjoy. Just a little tip. So gently coming out of this. The next pose that I want to go through is Pigeon. Most people are aware of Pigeon, but Pigeon is often not executed quite correctly for the maximum benefit. For the maximum benefit to stretch the external hip rotators, we want to have the front leg perpendicular to the rest of the body, not really pulled in, which is what we often will see. And again, this just depends upon your flexibility level. You'll probably find if you do this pose with the front shin perpendicular to your body, you need to prop up a lot more. But that just means that you're doing the pose right and you're getting the stretch in the right place. So have some cushions. You might need a lot of cushions here. And set up by stepping one foot across and then stepping it over to the right until you can set that leg down and have the shin, it should be in the same direction as the short edge of your yoga mat. And then you can just fold forward and hold this as long as is available to you, up to 3 to 5 minutes. And then gently rolling out of that and switching over to the other side, walking that foot across, setting up once again, extending that leg behind you. Try to have a nice straight line. Try to square the hips as best you can rather than totally opening them to the side. And just keep that stretch going. Again, maybe folding forward. Pigeon. The last one that I want to talk about is a combination of two poses. One is dragon from the yin style of yoga, and then that going into what most people know as splits, or in yoga, Hanumanasana. So dragon starts just with lifting one foot in front and the other behind, having the front leg at maybe a right angle, and then sitting down into it and holding this for a while. You can prop this up as much as you want. This is dragon, keeping the foot nice and flat, and you'll feel this in the front of the back leg and the back of the front leg. You can extend it toward Hanumanasana. You don't have to go into the full extension of the pose, but just, again, propping yourself up under your hips and finding ease somehow in this holding of the pose for a while. You can get more of a stretch in the back leg by staying upright. You also get a little bit of a back bend. Or you can lean forward to get more of a stretch in the hamstrings. You know your own body, you know where you're tight. And then again, gently coming out of this, you can come over to one side. And then switch the other leg in front. Again, you can start with dragon. You can see I'm not as flexible on this side. Yeah. And then extending toward Hanumanasana. And again, holding the pose, staying tall, or folding forward. And then gently coming out of it. For the best benefit, in order to stretch the fascia, which is often the issue in terms of tightness, you need to really hold the poses for a pretty long time. It might feel like a really long time, at least a few minutes. You don't need to hold them for 10. I don't think there's really much benefit that I've seen in any of the literature to doing that. But hopefully this helps bring you some greater flexibility. A little bit every day makes a much bigger difference than a cram course of flexibility once a week. So just add this into your nightly routine and you should see some results pretty quickly.